Our real form is spirits, and as spirits, we go from body to body, life to life, right? Learning, evolving, experience different things. So when in the session, when we focus on the spirit, we get all the answers that we need. Some techniques focus on the mind, and we use the word subconscious mind, conscious mind. And I explain in class that the way we see it, and also in the Spirits book, this is explained. In other books by Chico Xavier, this is also explained. And Joanna de Angelis, which is the guide of Divaldo Franco, spirit guide of Divaldo Franco, who shows herself as a nun, she dictated like 48, 58 books to him. Wow. They also talk about the subconscious mind. Subconscious mind goes with the soul. So that's how we end up bringing traumas from other bodies, from previous lives, you know.
Welcome to the Biba frequency, home to conversations with consciousness. I'm Biba, your host. Welcome back to those of you who keep coming back for these conversations. I have interviewed quite a few varied types of people on this show, and that was my intention in the beginning, to really get a broad spectrum of spiritual work, spiritual modalities that can help people. That's it. That's all I'm really interested in doing. Is someone may watch one podcast and go, no. And someone may watch that podcast and go, wow, I really need to try that. And so I'm interviewing these people based on their skill sets, their understanding of spirituality, how they got to where they are, and why they're doing what they're doing. And today I have Antonio Sangio, who is an introspective hypnosis teacher and coach and a practitioner also. He has multiple teachings to offer any student and any client that goes to him for help. I finished a 6-day course with himself and Alba Weinman not too long ago, and I've learned. I just feel so fortunate is the only way I could describe it. I feel very fortunate to be in his company because he's an open-hearted, kind, loving human being that has so much knowledge and wisdom and understanding about the human psyche, about spirituality, and he delivers that in 6 days. And his friend Alba Weinman, who's also an incredible hypnotherapist who has hundreds of videos online, as does he, of their sessions. And these two people put together in a room for a week is a magic formula for anybody who wants to know themselves or who's looking for a new practice to have as a business, I guess, and to help people in a spiritual way. So I'm interviewing him, I'm letting him talk, he's written books, he tells us about everything that he understands. Sit back and enjoy, and make sure that you don't get hypnotized on the way. Welcome, Antonio, to the Biba Frequency Podcast. How you doing?
Thank you, Biba. I'm doing okay. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. It is an honor to be here.
Well, it's an honor to have you here. You're a beautiful man, and you've a big heart and a lot to teach everybody about hypnosis that none of us know anything about, actually. That's why I've asked you on, because you have a very unique practice, and what you're doing is it's beautiful, actually, what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your comments. I always try to imitate my teachers. That's why attracted me to them. So I'm glad that it seems that that's what I'm transmitting during the classes. So thank you again for your comments.
Yeah. So for those people listening who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from and what you're doing here on the earth.
Well, yeah, my name is, again, Antonio Sangio. I am Peruvian. I'm born in Peru, but I live in the United States. I live in North Carolina, actually close to Charlotte. I'm in Mooresville, North Carolina. And life took different turns for me to get to where I am now. I was studying business administration, and I realized that that's not what I wanted. So I stopped doing that after 2.5 years. The career in Peru is 5 years. Then I studied computer science, and I became a systems engineer. And I enjoyed that work. I did that for a lot of years. And even the last company I worked for them for 12 years. But in the year 2013, I learned hypnosis. My wife, my mother-in-law had passed away, and my wife brought some of her books. And one of those books was Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian Weiss. And I remember that my father had read that book and he was telling me about it. I didn't read it back then. I didn't like to read back then. So I read it in one day. And after I was done with the book, I said, well, this is what I want to do. Started checking online. I said, there's got to be something online now, because my father read that book when I was in my 20s, right? And by the time I read the book myself, I was in my 40s. So I was able to find Aurelio Mejia some videos, my actually second teacher, Aurelio Mejia from Colombia, but he was not traveling to the US. He was not teaching. So somebody told me about Dolores Cannon. That's how I first learned quantum healing hypnosis technique from her, QHHT. After some time, I was able to, when I did the level 1, level 2, there were 2 levels back then, only 2 levels. Then I was able to host Aurelio Mejia in my house here in North Carolina, and I was able to shadow him for like 38 sessions in 6 days. He was not teaching. The only way to learn from him was by shadowing him, right?
Wow,
so that's how I started with introspective hypnosis.
wow.
And next year we did the same thing. So I was able to refine the technique. Then sometime later, somebody recommended me to learn Life Between Life by Malcolm Newton with the Newton Institute. Michael Newton had already passed away. So I learned that technique. And the last technique was from my last teacher, Jose Luis Cabuli, past lives therapy. That is what he calls the technique. He's from Argentina, lives in Spain, and that's the last technique that I learned. So I have a combination of 4 techniques. That is my background in hypnosis. I never thought I was going to be doing this full time, but it just happened. Destiny, I guess.
Yeah, destiny. Isn't destiny brilliant when it kicks in?
Exactly. And we need to understand when is destiny kicking in, because whenever you fight it, it's painful. So you either adjust yourself, or they will make the adjustment for you. And when they make it for you, it's not pleasant. So
yeah,
I decided to stop working as a systems engineer and to switch doing this full time. This was back in, I started doing this full time January 1st, 2019, after one of a big class that I had with my friend and colleague, Alba Wyman, right? We learned hypnosis together. So yeah, in that first class I was in I think it was October 2018, September. And at that moment, something changed. After those 6 days, something changed in me. Like I was transformed by everything that took place. And I made a decision that that's what I wanted to do. And life took me that route. I cannot complain. It was not easy at the beginning because I was feeling guilty, like I'm not doing enough, I'm not productive, because I was used to sitting in front of a computer, for 8 hours a day, for 5 days a week. I was doing this, I was kind of doing the same thing, but the hours were spread out. We're dealing with clients from different parts of the world in different time zones. So, and that's what I do now. I practice hypnosis, in online and in person, and I teach in person and online as well.
Yeah, you teach. So you're a brilliant teacher, and I'll talk a little bit about what I've learned from you myself in a little while. But when you say you study the 4 modalities, I was thinking north, south, east, and west, because what that means to me is you've got an angle on anything that comes up. You, in your toolbox, you know what to do. When anything shows up in hypnosis, you know what to do. You just know. Right. And I've seen you in one of the groups, and somebody was having a moment, and you were just there. And it's like you go into a state of hypnosis yourself. You're very present. There's nothing else going on in your mind. You're totally tuned into that person. It's like you're not even looking at them, and you know exactly how to bring them through that experience and carry them to the other side. And and there's no effect on you. It doesn't affect you what they're going through in any way. That's mastery level work. And it was beautiful to watch you, actually, just for the few little things that I saw you do. I just thought, he just knows what he's doing, this guy. He just knows.
Thank you. So I guess, Biba, that having the 4 techniques, it allowed me to look at the therapeutic part of the sessions, right? From different angles, as you said. When I created a course, based on what I felt I missed when I was learning. And well, the way of facilitating the sessions, it is right. At that moment, I am connected to my clients. It is true, you cannot get yourself in a trance in a way because you're connected with your clients. Some people say never connect to your clients. These are not your issues. I would say it's the opposite. Connect heart to heart, navigate the session together. After the session, of course, you disconnect. And of course, the experience, right? Doing this for some time, you already know different situations, even though it's impossible to have two people experience the same thing at the same level. You already know what to do. Is within you. But most importantly, something that I heard Michael Newton say: the best therapist for our clients is not us, it's not you, is your client's spirit guide. So at that moment in the session, open up and channel. Sometimes, I want to say sometimes, but it's most of the time, there are light beings, if not all the time, with us present, at least my guide and at least my client's guide. And my client's guide is giving me information. Sometimes I say things that I don't understand. I mean, I didn't understand. Now I know what it is. I didn't understand why I was saying these things, why I was using words that are not part of my vocabulary. And is that in a way I was given information, things that I needed to say, or places I needed to take that person in a session, based on what the guy felt it was important. So it's a combination of everything. Is being open, is being connected, being humble in what we do. Spirit guides will not work with you if you have a big ego. So that's one of the first thing that we need to learn how to do is to get rid of our ego. Not only during our sessions, I would say in general, right? This is not about us.
No, not at all. It's got nothing to do with us. We just happen to be like, if there's a magic carpet, we're the carpet.
We're just facilitators, right?
Yeah,
Some people
literally.
say, no, you're a healer. No, I am not. I facilitate the sessions, and all healing is self-healing. If you decide to, once you understand where your issues are coming from, let's say something was done to you when you were a little girl, and you decide to forgive, you're healing yourself. I have nothing to do with that. I'm just facilitating this for you.
Yeah, and that's one thing about you, is you have the ability to keep putting it back on the person. Like, it's self-empowerment what you're really doing, isn't it? It is for you. That's the integrity of your work, isn't it? Self-empowerment.
Thank you. It is correct. So what I like about this type of techniques is that it's not about us telling the clients what to do. It's not about us analyzing our client's life based on our filters and our belief system, because they have their own filters, their own belief system, their own reality. In order for us to help them, we need to dive into their reality. And once we're in the reality, then we're going to use that to help them. So we need to respect that. And I would say that in this work, we're empowering our clients. If you see planet Earth as a school, which it actually is, it is a school, and we come here to learn. And what happens is that we don't remember. Once we're born, we forget about everything we planned, about why we chose those parents. We chose our parents. We chose to be born in that family. We chose to have a body with specific characteristics or defects, and we forgot about it. So when we start this school year, let's put it that way, we start the school year, we're confused, we don't understand, and we feel victims, and we feel like this person did this to me, and this person was bad to me, and my father did this to me, and everything was part of a plan, something that I needed to experience, something that I needed to learn. The problem is when we get trapped in the victim role. In the victim role, we don't take ownership of our lessons. We're not responsible for what we have done before. Maybe we're experiencing something based on what we have done to others, and we're not learning anything. So in a session, the idea is to have this person understand what happened, how everything started, or that issue started, or why that issue started, and be able to take ownership, accept their responsibility, and empower them to move forward. So that's what we do, yes.
And be accountable as well.
Absolutely. And in your group, without saying any names, I guess the last day of the class, you got to see that. It was that session was a gift for everybody, including for me. I'm always, every time I have a client like that, to me, it's a gift because it was teaching us about spirituality. It was teaching us about the law of action and reaction. If we do something to somebody, sooner or later, it's going to be our time to experience the same way. But we don't remember. So we feel like we're victims. This is happening to me because I have bad luck. This is happening to me because people are bad to me. No, this is happening to me because it is my time or my turn to experience what I have done to somebody else. So that's what we call karma, right? But it's the law of balance.
Law of balance, exactly. And I remember that moment when she was healing something from this life, and then she went into another life where she had been, the body, let's say, and actually in the moment of realization, I'll never forget how that room felt. It was like the lights went on energetically.
Yes.
It's like boom, and my whole body everything changed in my body. I just went, whoa, that is so powerful.
It was powerful. And those are the times where I knew what was going to happen. I knew what was going to happen. I don't know if I was given the information
Wow.
beforehand, but I was asking this person to look at the eyes of those people in those past lives that she visited. I knew what the answer was going to be. At that
You just
moment,
knew.
this person stopped feeling like a victim. I'm not a victim
Instantly.
anymore,
Instantly.
Instantly. Everything,
Yeah.
the perspective about her entire life changed in a split second.
Yeah.
Once
Forever.
she realized how this started, and she started as the attacker in a past life.
I listen, and that just is going to even all how she even views all her relationships now will change. Everything in her reality will change because of that. That beautiful work. And I just wish more people knew about hypnosis. So few people that I speak to, they're like, hypnosis. I'm thinking, wow, I think it's going to become more apparent as a spiritual modality that can really assist you in time. Because I think somehow, somewhere, Netflix and those TV shows have just put a weird stint on it. People
Yeah,
just think, I will forget and you're a weirdo. And it's like, no, it's just not like that. It's just
it's
deep.
not like that.
It's trance. It's
Right,
trance.
right. And what happened is that hypnosis can be used for many things, right? You can use hypnosis to eliminate pain for a procedure, a dental procedure, for surgery. You can use hypnosis for to have fun, stage hypnosis, right? You can use hypnosis for past life regression. And people just want to visit past lives. But anyway, there are many. Hypnosis is a tool that can be used in many ways. However, when you use it for therapeutic purposes, it's amazing what it can do. And I was talking to my wife after that session in the Netherlands, and I was telling my wife, and then I was telling also the mentoring group that we have, you can learn hypnosis, you can learn any techniques. But if you don't know about spirituality, and when I'm speaking about spirituality, I'm speaking about what the spirit is, how it works, how reincarnation works, all the things that affect the spirit, soul entrapment, all that stuff. You can find a lot of information in the Spirit's book, written by Allan Kardec. Allan Kardec is considered the coder of the Spiritist doctrine. And of course, there were others later. We had Chico Xavier's, a great medium from Brazil, passed away already. Then we had somebody else who's still alive, Divaldo Franco. They were writing books dictated by spirits, and spirits give you all this information. So trying to use hypnosis without that knowledge, or trying to take somebody to what we call past lives without that knowledge, you will be very limited. Imagine that case, the case that we're talking about, without knowing about karma, without knowing about spirituality, without understanding that sometimes we're sent back as family members, father, mother, brother, sister, we're trapped in these family ties to work on something, forgiveness. to work on loving, respecting each other, it's difficult to navigate a session because then you don't know. People think, and the mistake is that all I need to know is to put somebody in a trance. All I need to know is just to take somebody to what we call past lives and ask questions. And as you've seen yourself, there's a lot more that goes with that, and one of those things is learning about spirituality, learning about Kardec's work. But again, it's a teaching that the spirits sent to us in the form of that book and other books that are available as well.
It's so essential, is because you said, like, you just connect your heart to their heart during a session, and that's what I do based on my own spirituality. I call this spiritual hypnosis because it's a spiritual practice. It's purely based on spirit. It's soul work. It's got very, very little to do with anything else. It's like your soul is going to guide you to where it needs to go, and my soul is going to align with your soul, and we're going to go on a journey together, and just allow that to happen. And interesting, through the 6 days of training that I did with you not too long ago, your constant reminder was you have to be into spirituality. You must understand spirituality. Like, you kept saying it, and I was like, you really know what you're talking about, because this is not mind work as only in I'll figure this out because I've got a lot of training under my belt. But how can you deal with spiritual matters if you're not into spirituality?
Right.
Because it won't be real to you.
Exactly. We're if you think about it, we're spirits having a human experience. Our real form is spirits, and as spirits, we go from body to body, life to lives, right? Learning, evolving, experience different things. So when in the session, when we focus on the spirit, we get all the answers that we need. Some techniques focus on the mind, and we use the word subconscious mind, conscious mind. And I explain in class that the way we see it, and also in the Spirits book, this is explained. In other books by Chico Sabiris, this is also explained. And Joanna de Angelis, which is the guide of Divaldo Franco, spirit guide of Divaldo Franco, who shows herself as a nun, she dictated like 48, 58 books to him. Wow. They also talk about the subconscious mind. Subconscious mind goes with the soul. So that's how we end up bringing traumas from other bodies, from previous lives, And I say other bodies because for the spirit, life is only one, but with experiences in different bodies. So those bodies are really memories in other bodies, right? So it is important, as you say, to connect and to call the client and follow the spirit, because the spirit is going to give us all the answers that we need.
Yeah, exactly. And do you ever notice, I had a client recently, and many people will say, well, I did past life regression, so I knew I was I saw my past life. But I was like, did you heal anything? No. Did you invest? How did you die? Or was your body brought back? Like, no. It was just a story. And I'm thinking, okay, that's kind of interesting, but like, there's so much work. If you're brought to that place, you can do work there.
In my opinion, we the same way we are allowed to visit the spirit world. If I speak about the life between life technique, the life between life technique is basically focused on what happens in the space in between lives, the spirit world, right? But that doesn't matter if you go into a very deep trance. That doesn't matter if your guide considers that it's not a good idea or would not beneficial for you to visit that moment in the between life space. They will block you, because knowing that or knowing what happened is going to ruin the lesson that you're going through. So some clients just need to understand that some of the types that we plan start from there, and it's not a good idea to understand what we plan or understand, because let me put it this way: visiting the spirit world is like getting the answers to the test that you're taking now, right? So the same way we're allowed to visit the spirit world, in my opinion, we're given permission to visit past life, because once we visit a past life, and we call it a past life, however, the spirit doesn't see it a past life, it's just a memory in a different body. It's because it is something there that took place in that body, in that life, that relates to what we're experiencing now, right? So if we understand that, it's like looking for the missing piece of a puzzle in that life. And we need to understand what that is. And we need to help our client understand how that relates to what they're experiencing now to help them continue. Because maybe that missing piece is what have them, they're making them feel trapped in a traumatic event, for example, and they're not able to move forward, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Which
And
is very
again,
real.
and nothing happens for free. Going back to what you were saying a few minutes ago, if you remember with this person that had this demo session, the one that we've been talking about, we did the demo interview on Monday. It was a 6-day class. So on Monday, we did a demo interview, and this beautiful young woman told us about her life. And one of the comments I made was, this is not for free. Everything she went through in this life, I said to you guys, this is not for free. There's a pattern here. Whenever there's a pattern here, that means that it started before this life, right? And that's exactly what happened on the last day when we did the demo. She went back to that life where everything, what we consider suffering, right? Which is not suffering, it's just another lesson, started. That event threw her soul, her spirit, into a journey of healing in this life, experiencing the things that she, as a man in that life, did herself.
Yeah,
Or
and
did
that's
himself.
real forgiveness, isn't it? That
That's real
brings her into,
forgiveness, right?
so she can forgive all of those who did her wrong in this life, because she has to learn to forgive herself for what she did,
Right.
which is
Right.
just fundamental to freedom in this life, is forgiveness.
Forgiveness. And everything is taken, we're talking about past, present, and future, right? Linear time for the spirit. The spirit is outside of the body, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is what the spirits books say, that the spirit is energy with consciousness, right? And the soul is an incarnated spirit. So spirit is outside, soul is inside, right? So yes, this woman was able to understand what happened, and was able to heal, because she had a complete different understanding now of what took place. And since everything was happening now for her, if you think about it, by the moment she realized how that started, without even telling me, when I said, look at this person in the eyes, without even giving me the answer, she started crying, because she understood and saw everything at the same time, the effect or the consequences of that action in another life and in the current life. And she was crying right there without even telling me the name of this person.
A truth just hit her so fast.
Yes.
Yeah, it's almost like, how I describe it is, that we have a timeline, and there's just that all your experiences are on a timeline that are all active now. And we can call it past, present, and future, but actually, as you said, our spirit is, the soul is the one in the body, and the spirit is the one out of the body. I've never heard that before, but that actually, I just thought they were the same thing.
No, and this is explained by the spirits in the spirits book by Allan Kardec.
Well, I will get it.
Right. So the way, speaking about the timeline that you just said, there's a timeline with different events in past lives. Make that timeline a circle. You still have the events, but now it's a circle, and put the soul or the spirit in the center of that circle. And that's the actual representation of what the soul or the spirit experiences. Everything at the same time. It's not linear time. All of these events taking place at the same time. And since everything is taking place at the same time, we talked about the concept of soul entrapment. Whenever your soul experiences a traumatic event, something so painful that your soul is not able to experience at the physical, emotional, and mental level, part of our soul gets trapped in that event. It can happen in this life. It can happen during childhood. It can happen in the womb. It can happen we're gonna call it past life for now. It can happen in a past life, but since everything is taking place at the same time in that circle, everything is affecting us here and now at the same time. You could be trapped in, I don't know, maybe you were killed in a past life, and maybe in another past life you were buried alive because they thought you were dead, but you were not. You just were in this I don't know if I forgot the name of that disease that actually makes you look dead, but you're not dead, you're asleep. And you can be trapped in an event in the womb, and all of those are affecting you now, causing symptoms.
Yeah, and for anyone who doesn't really know what we're talking about, I just want to clarify. So when your soul, when your spirit is in a body having an experience, and say in that life that you were buried alive, and that fear of just being trapped is a frequency that stays with you. So you can be born into another life, and in your subconscious mind, which is all the experiences that your spirit has had, it can be on a loop. So there's this loop of, I'm feeling claustrophobic, or why am I afraid of such small places? There's a reason for everything, isn't there?
Right. And people say, does that mean that I was born with that symptom, that fear, that trauma? The trauma was there all the time. What happened is you got triggered. Whenever you experience something similar, let's say if you were buried alive and you go to get into an elevator or the subway or an airplane, you get the same feeling of being trapped. Then it's where you're triggered, and that's when the symptom appears. So the soul remembers, the symptom appears, and it stays until you work with it, right? But of course, everything is taking place now at the subconscious level. And I know for people watching this video, they're gonna get confused, like saying, "What are these guys talking about?" Right?
I can feel it, can't you?
Yeah. So it's the same thing of when I see your faces in class when I start sharing all these new concepts and this new approach in hypnosis and the techniques, right? People trying to make sense of what this guy, named Antonio Sangio, is saying. The truth, Biba, is that when a part of our soul is trapped in those events, we're in two places at the same time. We're here in this body, but part of us is also trapped in an event. Let's talk about past life. In a past life.
Yeah.
If you think of a computer network, when you have the main computer, the server, right in the middle, and you have all the workstations, they are all interconnected with network cables. If there's a virus, assuming there's no antivirus, right? There's a virus that infects one of the workstations. What's going to happen with the server? The server is going to get infected. And once the server is going to get infected, what is going to happen with the other workstations? Since the workstations connect to the server to retrieve and store information, they're also going to get infected. Now replace the server with the soul. The soul is in the middle, and replace the workstation with the bodies of past life, the bodies we have occupied or past lives. Once the infection or traumatic event is created in one of those lives, it infects the server, the soul. And once the soul goes to another life, that life is infected too. So of course, that virus is gonna be activated when it is triggered by when you face something similar. So all of this is taking place at the same time. All of these entrapments can be causing symptoms at the same time. We're in two places at the same time, and this is what causes confusion. I don't understand why I'm feeling depressed, people will say. Nothing has happened to me for me to be depressed, and maybe the depression is coming from another life where they committed suicide. Part of them is trapped in that life, and there's something pending that they need to complete that they were not able to do. Same thing with women not able to enjoy sex, women not able to get to an orgasm, or women saying, I have a painful intercourse, I'm not able to enjoy my intimate relationships. And it's because, and actually I show you one of those videos where somebody was raped in a past life and they got trapped. Right. And they got trapped in the past life. And for the soul, this is still happening. Right. So whenever you are having an intimate moment, your soul is remembering how your body reacts exactly the way it reacted. Not it reacted because it's not the past, it's still reacting in that life. Yes. Incredible. That's what it is.
It's incredible that we have a solution.
Oh, now, yes, of course. And as I said, I was able to learn from different teachers. Morelio Mejia, I learned from Dolores Cannon. I learned how to navigate past lives and ask questions, which was wonderful. from Aurelio Mejia, the flexibility of using different techniques, how to help lost souls as well, and use different techniques and be flexible and adapt to the requirements of the session. From Jose Luis Cabuli was more of the same, and on top of that, working with traumas, working with entrapment, helping our clients relieve those moments, helping them do whatever they were not able to do to end their soul entrapment. And once the soul entrapment is gone, the symptom disappears. So I was able to learn all of that from my teachers, and of course, that is a solution. I understood that is the best way to deal with traumatic events, to deal with symptoms. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and psychosomatic symptoms. So people may be not well or have phobias or fears or symptoms that make absolutely no sense to anybody. The doctors,
right.
Psychics, nobody can figure it out. That's got something to do with it somewhere on your time circle.
Right. One of those clients that I had, that actually was one of the students that attended one of the workshops. As I was doing the interview, right, speaking about symptoms and speaking about being in two places at the same time, when I asked her, right, what is it that your soul needs to heal? And she said, I need to be able to send my message across. I'm looking at that client. She's communicated with me with no issues. She can communicate her thoughts and messages with no issues to me. So if you don't know about this work, you could be thinking, what is she talking about? Right? And then she also said, I feel dead inside. I'm looking at her, beautiful young woman, she doesn't look dead to me. So where are those expressions or those phrases coming from? Right? So this is what I learned from my teachers, and this is exactly what I learned from my teacher, Jose Luis Cabuli. Those phrases could be coming from the life in which their soul might be trapped. And that's exactly what happened. As we follow the symptoms, she arrived to that life where she was buried alive. And now those phrases that she mentioned during the interview make sense. I'm not able to send the message across because she was saying, get me out. I am alive, get me out. And I feel that inside is because she was there. Her part of her soul was still there, feeling everything. So being in two places at the same time doesn't make sense. But once you understand the technique, it makes sense. And as you said, now we do have the solution to work on that.
We do have the solution. Tell me something. Tell me about the book that you were writing at 4 a.m. Tell us a little bit about that. This book.
So far I wrote 3 books. I would have never thought in my life that I didn't like reading books. Now I eat them. I eat books. I enjoy reading books about a specific topic, right? About spirituality, past life regressions, all that stuff. So I first wrote My Soul's Purpose. It was about my journey, but also sharing concepts of spirituality and transcessions. But then the book you're talking about is guiding lost souls. I was teaching in introspective hypnosis. I didn't know past life. Well, no, I learned past life therapy when I was about to finish that book. But I was teaching you guys my students, how to deal with how to help lost souls from the vibration of compassion, from love, understanding, just not thinking that we're exorcists. That's not what we do. That we help those souls that are lost to understand what happened, understand about their condition, understand that they might be causing symptoms to the person that they are attached to. Sometimes giving them the news that their body died. Some of them don't understand that their body died. They still say, I'm alive. Of course you're alive. You're a spirit. The spirit never dies. But you say you were a man. Yes. Have you realized you're communicating through the body of a woman? And at that moment, they got this realization and they understand now that their body died. So I was teaching this and I was asking people to read a book. I'm not going to say the name. I want you to read this book. This book is great, but don't pay attention to this and this chapter because sometimes it talks about spirits as demons or evil, and I don't believe in that. There's no good or bad. There are spirits that are more evolved than others, and they deserve the same level of respect and love as our clients. They become another client in a session. So I was telling them not to read those 2 chapters. When we're humans, right? When we're told what not to do, that's exactly what we do.
Exactly.
So then
What
I
we do.
started seeing some of the people that learn introspective hypnosis talking to, making reference to demons and evil spirits. And when did I teach about that? That doesn't work that way. So anyway, that was my motivation to write the book, Guiding Lost Souls. By the time I had already had quite a few sessions in which I communicated with lost souls. Lost souls are souls attached, not possession. Possession does not exist. They are attached like ticks to the client. They attach to their energetic body, and through that they transmit their fears, their symptoms, the pain they have when their body died, and it interferes with the clients, right? And that's what creates a confusion. The client doesn't understand why they're feeling or thinking those things. So I said, okay, I want to write a book that teach anybody that wants to do this how to help them with love, compassion, understanding that we're therapists or lost souls, that we're not exorcists. That's not what we do. And I wrote that book, Biba, in a month and a half. I had it ready. It took some time to be edited. That was not my fault. But I was waking up at 4:30 in the morning every morning or every night, depending on how you want to see it. My wife, I said, where are you going? I need to go and write a book, or say write by type. And I was typing. I wrote the book in a month and a half.
Wow.
And some of the stuff that I wrote, I don't remember. So does that mean that I was channeling at some point? Maybe, who knows? I'm sure I was being assisted at least by my guide. I hope, but yeah, that book came along. The third one is The Symptoms of the Soul, and I'm working on the fourth one now.
Wow.
It's going to be about the time in the womb.
Wow.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Gosh, so you're actually on your fourth book now.
Working on the fourth book. Because of different situations, I have not been able to finish it. My wife saying, just take it easy, because once I put my mind in something, I don't stop until I finish. But of course, I take time from my family, from my wife, from my kids, even though they're grown-ups, they're out of the house already. But I need to find a balance in what I do. But it's almost ready. I just need to spend, let's see, by the end of the year, I'll finish it.
Wow, that's pretty good, because Christmas is coming. And so what's your first book called?
My Soul's Purpose.
And that's your story, right?
That's my story, how I realized what I came here to do.
Okay.
Even though I had been told a few times through, at some point when I was visiting, there were different things that happened in my life that made me go to psychics or people that read the tarot. But these are people that were friends of the family. Okay. I remember I was like 23 years old, and I was told for the first time, you have a mission. What is that? What do you mean a mission? It didn't make sense. I didn't care about a mission. I was going through a divorce back then. And this guy, so the guy is the age of my father, telling me about a mission. Yes, I went through a divorce, and then 2 years later I got back with my wife, and we remarried. So it was part of our learning. Wow. So yeah, I was told about that, and I guess the universe put different, what I call the support mechanisms, support people in my life so that I didn't deviate what I was supposed to learn or to do. So I was getting messages about a mission. I was getting messages about what was going to happen. Even when I started practicing hypnosis, the spirits of my clients' loved ones, right, telling me, you have to do this with more love. I was like, what are you guys talking about? Is love a discount? What is love in a session? And the same message came through a few times until I finally got it. Love my client, connect with my client. Once you connect heart to heart, once I understood, the results changed immediately in my session. So it's been a journey. And I tell that in that book. I explain that in that book, and I share some of the cases that I had. I share the case that actually helped me understand what I was here to do. Wow. I changed the names of the sessions, but some of those sessions are on YouTube. So people can and watch those sessions. I'm not just making it up. These are real sessions.
Yeah.
And I share about that. That's to encourage people that want to start this journey in what we do, which is not easy. You know, if you're going to talk about love and forgiveness and you're going to preach about that, well, they're going to test you on that. So you have to forgive, you have to love, you have to do the things that you're teaching others, right? But the rewards are amazing. I'm able to meet wonderful people, like including yourself. I've been able to travel, taking this technique to other countries. I've been able to write a book and meet great teachers. I'm grateful for what happened in my life. You know? So now that I understand that, I went through a lot of things, and I tell about my story with my father, who was one of my number one teacher in this life. I went through a lot of things. Back then, I would have said positive and negative. I understand now that everything is positive. I share that story in that book because even though I felt like a victim for many, many, many years, I understood at some point, and when I say at some point, this was like 2 years before he passed away, that I am who I am thanks to him, thanks to everything that I went through with him. And this is what I'm doing. So how can I be upset? How can I be mad? How can I not forgive what happened? Understanding, you know, what I'm doing now. So I explain about that in that book. That's to motivate people. Book number 2 is Guiding Lost Souls. Book number 3, The Symptoms of the Soul, is about those symptoms that we bring from other bodies, from others' lives, and that manifest now. And I explained that concept. I explained the concept of soul entrapment, soul fragmentation, how to follow the symptom. All of that is in that book.
Well, thank you for writing those books because they're
my
really
pleasure.
important. Yeah, it's really important to know those things. If you've got enough self-inquiry and you're ready to just move on in your life, it's good to know what's happening as well, instead of going in completely blind. Some people go in blind. They're just like, can you help? It's like, yeah. Some people want to know, how does this work?
Yes, it is in the books, and I didn't write my books with the idea of becoming famous, right? Oh, I want my book to be a bestseller. No, my book is there for this could be anybody that wants to learn about what we do, or somebody that is practicing hypnosis and want to learn more. I share some of the stuff there. And I'm sure that once I am gone, once I transcend, once I go to the spirit world, once my body dies, I hope those books stay and help the new ones coming. So everybody's going to start from a different, like what is happening to us. We're starting from a different starting point. That for example, Brian Weiss, Dolores Cannon, because we were able to absorb the information they got. So when we started practicing, we got what they gave us. Yeah. Let's see what the new generations are going to do with the stuff that we're giving them. You know?
Exactly. And so tell me a little bit, because I am very, very interested in womb regression. Mm-hmm. Help us understand what that is.
Well, what happened is that our time in the womb is another life experience. And it's sad that many techniques don't pay attention to this, don't take it into consideration, don't take it as something valid, not even doctors. And what happens in the womb is that what's in the womb is not a toy. You know, there's a soul connected, a spirit connected to that body that is there. And that soul has its own mission, purpose, its own entrapment, traumas, lessons. That soul chose that mother for a specific reason, that father for a specific reason. That soul chose that body. If it's going to have a defect, an issue, whatever it is for a reason, because it's like the uniform or the pencil or the books that you take to school. It's going to be your tool as you learn, right? And during the time in the womb, they are inside of the mother's vibrational field. And at that moment, they have a kind of telepathic connection. the time in the womb is the realm of the subconscious mind. Everything that happens there happens at the subconscious level. And when we're born, we forget about it. But whatever we went through during our time in the womb stays in the subconscious mind, and we're going to behave and act according to that information that was stored. But what can happen in the womb? Well, as I said, the soul incarnating in that body of that fetus or baby, brings a lot of stuff from previous lives. Or the mother, same way, she has her own purpose, her own mission, her own entrapment, fear, sadness, phobias. She might be in a society that it might be restrictive, or practicing a religion that is restrictive. Maybe she experienced the loss of a father, a mother, or abandoned by the partner, right? Being, I don't know, being judged by being pregnant without being married. So many situations, that the mother can be going through. But of course, the soul in the womb is affected by everything the mother is going through. Mm-hmm. The problem here is that at that moment, since everything is taking place at the subconscious level, we're not able to determine what belongs to us and what belongs to our mother. We experience as if everything belongs to us. Not only that, in the womb, we already start making decisions. If the mother is suffering, or I don't know, maybe your grandparents saying to your mother, you're stupid. I told you not to get pregnant. This baby is going to ruin your life. You should get rid of that baby. This baby's a mistake. You're already thinking, number one, you don't feel welcome. Number two, you're saying, because of me, my mother is suffering. Because of me, my mother is being attacked by my grandparents. Once I am born, I'm going to do whatever I can to make it up to her, to make sure that she's happy. Mm-hmm. So at that moment, I already made that decision. When I am born, I start acting that way. I start making sure that my mother is always happy, taking care of my mother, even forgetting about myself, even forgetting about my own family. So you have clients coming to you saying, I'm acting this way with my mother. I have no control. I don't know why I'm doing it. But that's based on a decision that was taken in the womb. What if the mother is thinking about aborting the baby? The baby is born, the baby doesn't, as a grown-up, avoid confrontations. They don't feel safe around people. When they don't feel welcome, they don't have a connection with the mother, they don't have a connection with the father. So many things take place in the womb. And basically, what the soul in the womb is saying, thinking, what do I have to do to be loved? What do I have to do to be accepted? What do I have to do in order not to be killed? And the answers are the decisions that we make, that we carry as mandates in our life. And of course, it is important to understand what happened in the womb. A lot of our clients, basically all they need is to go back to the womb and understand what happened.
It's so powerful. When you started teaching that in the class, I remember I was told I could never have kids. And if I did have a kid, I'd lose it. That's what I was told. So when I got pregnant, I was like, but what if I lose the baby? What if this happens? What if that happens? Like, what if I was so happy to be pregnant?
Okay.
But I was told by the doctors I'd lose it, but she wasn't going where. But in my mind, it was constantly, but what if? It was that fight, with medicine and nature. So when my daughter was born, she was perfectly born, all as well. And she started speaking. She would always say, but what if, Mum? What if the car crashes? What if the sky falls down? What if we fall out of the airplane?
From you. Yes.
So when you were speaking, and I never understood where it came from, because I don't think like that normally ever. I'm not a what if person.
Yeah.
I had forgotten that I was in a state of panic, thinking, I hope I don't lose this baby.
What about, right, I was going to ask you, is she afraid of certain things? Constantly afraid?
No,
or the what if is coming from there.
Well, she has anxiety.
Right. Exactly. Okay.
She has anxiety and she has to deal with that most days. And, I don't know if I'm the one to bring her into womb regression, but, but when you said that in the class, I just went, oh my God, there it is. So I rang her and I said, hey, your what if doesn't belong to you.
Right.
it belonged to me when I was panicking, when you were in my womb and I didn't want to lose you. And she was like, that's amazing.
Yeah, so and
it made it very real for me, what you're talking about.
Very good. And sometimes And most of the time, we get the client going to the womb, being the baby. But sometimes we have the mothers in a session going back to the time they were pregnant, understanding that what they went through and they were thinking, and they understood how that affected their baby, because their baby is now a teenager having all kind of issues, but they understood how those issues originated. So they were going back to the moment they were pregnant, and I called it a womb reversal, right? Instead of focusing on the baby, I'm focusing on the mother, but also helping them understand what the baby felt, what they were going through those events. And then doing the forgiveness, talking to the baby, explaining to the baby that I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I was going through such and such. It was not personal. So this can also be, this healing can also take place if you focus on the pregnant mother, if that's the one coming to you.
That's so interesting. So based on my what I need to do with my daughter is, does she need to go back to the womb, or do I need to go back to when I was pregnant?
No, you're conscious now. So all you can do is just talk to your daughter. Listen, this is what happened. This is what I went through. Yeah. And you might have been affected what I was saying. I just want you to understand that this doesn't belong to you. And today I am taking it back. I am removing it for you because it never belonged to you.
No.
The what if doesn't belong to you, it's mine. And it was stupid, and you can say it was stupid anyway because nothing happened, you see? So we worry for no reason. I worry for no reason. So this is over now.
Lovely.
Just work with her that way.
Yeah, I do work with her that way, but I was thinking maybe she needs to go back to the womb.
Or if you want to do it in a session, yes. But I always tell people, right? Not a good idea to facilitate sessions on your relatives or friends, or family, because there might be things they don't want to tell you about. Right? So it's a good idea to refer them to a colleague, for example, and have them do this session.
I do agree with that. So you're writing a book about this.
I'm writing a book about that, and I'm in the process, and of course I need to review it. But when I started writing the book, I think my intention was more to write it for people facilitating sessions. I want you to be aware of how, this other way you can help your clients. But as I'm about to finish the book, I realized that no, this book should be written for anybody thinking about having kids, anybody that is pregnant, or anybody that just have kids, or anybody having issues with their kids, to bring awareness. So that's where I am now. And when I finish the book, and now I need to write a couple, the last two chapters, I need to refocus on what I'm going to do. When I review everything, I'm going to make that adjustment. But that book is going to be not only for people that practice hypnosis. I would actually like to help women about to be pregnant to understand the consequences of what they go through, the consequences on the baby of the things they go through. But most importantly is that I think it's important for everybody, men and women, but especially for women, because you are the ones that are going to carry that baby for 9 months. You guys need to work on the issues, whatever issues you have. If you have resentment, if you have fear, whatever issues you put on hold, pretending that it's not there, this is going to affect your baby. Yeah. So you need to work on those issues before getting pregnant, I would say. Anyway, the baby is choosing that mother for a specific reason.
Yeah.
But maybe once you work on those issues, you're going to help the baby go through their own lessons in a different way, or maybe a different spirit is going to choose you based on the new frequency where you are now.
Yeah, more conscious, not just conscious parenting, but being pregnant in a more conscious manner, conscientious. Right. So, right. Not just thinking, if I'm so sad because he's drinking all the time, that means that baby's just going to be sad then. We're not brought up in a world that teaches that. Yeah. We're not brought up in that world. And I love the fact you're doing and you're teaching and you're writing about womb regression. There's something incredibly beautiful about that. It's just, and I'm so glad you're doing it, because you are, when you're teaching, for anyone who likes to learn new things and has done courses and is looking for a new path, your teaching is just all of you. You give all of you. You don't give the teacher side. You don't give sides. You're just there. You don't edit yourself. You don't limit yourself. You don't hold back. You just give everything that you know that's going to help those people. And I see you in your sessions, because for anyone who's interested, you have a YouTube video and you've got hundreds of sessions online.
Right. And thank you for those comments. And I remember, I was told once, right, by spirit. Actually, Blair Styra, who is channels a spirit named Tabash, and Tabash said, all you have to do because he even told me, he was talking to me and he turned on the side because he channels spirits, right? He started speaking some other language. I don't know what it was. And he turned back to me saying, they're telling me that you should start practicing your presentation skills, because it seems that you're going to be teaching soon. And I was like, what? And that actually happened, a few years later. But he said, all you have to do is just focus on projecting who you are, and that's it. I'm not consciously doing it, but I think that is the same way we connect with our clients. I do the same thing with whoever wants to learn the technique. I am there. But of course, I'm doing this also with, I teach by myself online, and sometimes I teach by myself in person. But also have the help of Alba Wyman, who is my friend, my colleague. We're like siblings, and we go back and forth and we help each other. And whenever we make a mistake, we tell each other, and I tell Alba, if I make a mistake, who better than you to tell me? I prefer that you tell me you made a mistake. And I'm the same way with her. So people like the combination. This is we had kind of the same teachers. We use kind of the same techniques in different ways. And when somebody goes to a class, they get to see both sides of the techniques. I don't know how to explain it. So, but thank you again for your comments. I feel alive when I'm sharing knowledge.
Yeah, I can see that. So so Alba Wyman is also a hypnotherapist online, and she's got loads and loads and loads of amazing videos.
Lots of videos.
She's like queen of the internet with hypnosis, isn't she? It's like,
wow.
And they're all so varied. You're more trauma based. I'm very interested in the traumas as well, because I personally myself suffered my own issues with depression, and that I didn't know I had so I went through a lot of my own internal struggle, like we all have. So I'm very interested in helping people get out of that, because you can be free. I know you can be free. I know
you can be free, right? So as I said, I started with QHST, which was past life regression, connecting with the higher self. Dolores Cannon was calling it the subconscious mind, but she said it's not the subconscious mind. As psychology explains it, is something different. She already knew that it was part of the soul speaking to you. And I was facilitating those sessions, but the type of clients I was getting interested in that technique were different, and they want to get different results, so they want to get different information. So I started learning other techniques, and the type of clients I was getting was different. As soon as I learned introspective hypnosis from Aurelio Mejia, I was getting a different type of clients, working on issues, working on these lives events, following symptoms happening now that took us to what we call past lives, right? And same thing when I learned life between lives, and also when I learned from Kabuli, I started focusing more on the traumas. So this is the clients that I get the most, people with trauma symptoms, unexplained symptoms. These are symptoms that do not make sense, right? People say, I'm not able to wear anything around my neck, and nothing has happened to them in that life. And who knows that in a past life, maybe they were hanged, right? This is the reason why, Biba, I'm not able to share that many sessions anymore, because my technique changed, my style changed, the type of clients I get now changed. So what would I show on a video? Somebody being hanged, somebody being killed. A lot of people will be afraid. If they don't understand what we're doing, they will be afraid of watching something like that, thinking that I'm killing my clients, making them suffer. No, it's just with the mind. Michael Newton says something that is true. In order to desensitize any trauma, we need to relive it up to a certain degree, re-experience it. And sometimes this is what we have to do in sessions in order to desensitize traumas, which are causing problems now. Not everybody feels comfortable doing it. Not everybody resonates with that. Not everybody is able to accompany clients through those events, and this is why we are here. I will say some people will say, but you're just focusing on this part, this aspect of hypnosis, which is the healing, the traumatic events, the symptoms. You're missing some other aspect. You could be getting more clients. But I said, but then I'm thinking, right, this is who I am. I need to accept who I am and what I'm here for, and how I'm helping my clients. I cannot just start using technique based on the amount of clients I want to get or the amount of money I would like to make. Because to me, it's true. I charge for the sessions, I charge for the classes, but it's not about the money.
Yeah,
it's not about the money, So I'm like I said, I work more with traumas, issues, people that I feel stuck, trapped, symptoms that I don't have make sense, emotional, mental, physical symptoms, you name it.
Yeah, because we have like with the quantum healing, I do that. Most people, our Dolores Cannon is like an internet sensation at the moment, right? It's like Dolores Cannon, which is great because she's written a lot of books and a lot of truths, and it's a pioneer in a lot of things. It's very beautiful information. But I do love that very much. But when I learned your technique, when I learned with you what you're doing and how you guided me through those 6 days, I was so absorbed in your energy that I was downloading everything you were saying. And then I came home and I just went, hold on a second here. Where do I begin? So I had a QHHD session booked in. So I didn't have any I know notes because I know QHHD. I don't need notes anymore. So they're like going straight to it. They're like coming off a cloud, going straight to a trauma.
And it's not you taking them; they are going there by themselves.
And I just I just saw, what are you doing in a trauma?
Right.
You should be in a spaceship somewhere. So no, she's like, I'm in a trauma. So I just went, I hadn't even had time to look at the notes. So I just closed my eyes and I went into you. I went into your energy and I went into everything that you taught me. And I looked at my client and I went, okay, now let's go. Everything you taught me went into me. Now the notes are brilliant.
At the subconscious level.
At the subconscious level. And because I have that person in front of me on the computer, they were with me in the room. And I just thought, wow, the information was in me and I was divinely guided, which is what you said. Don't worry, you'll be guided. Trust the process. And I did a introspective hypnosis and they came for a quantum healing. So their soul knows what they need.
Yeah, this is what I always say in the classes. As soon as you learn a new technique, new clients will come to you. It's not that they will come to you. I was taught once, and I do believe this, that clients are sent to us. And I remember a spirit guy saying, manifested. I was working with one of my clients, and the spirit guy said, "I'm the one that sent her to you." And I said, "Do you know me?" I said, "No." How do you find me? And the guide said, "You, meaning all of us that do this, right, have a special channel open that only advanced spirits can detect, and that's how we find you, how we send people to you." And it has happened every single time. When I learned Life Between Life, I started getting immediately people that needed that technique. As soon as I learned past life therapy, boom, my clients needed that technique. So it has happened every single time I learn a new technique. And from what you're telling me, it happened to you as well.
Oh, instantly. My QHHG client was the first one after the course. I wasn't ready for doing introspective hypnosis yet. I was in, okay, so we're on the cloud. And then suddenly we're in a trauma. And I thought, wow, okay, let's go. It's time to go. And so it gave me great confidence knowing that everything that I need is already within me. Right. Because I was when like you, I know I wasn't ready to do this work until I had really learned the capacity to love on a level I'd never loved before, not only myself, but also my past self who messed up a lot, who I could have judged and said, but look how you raised your kid, or look how you did this, or look how you wasted like 20 years of, you know, on medication with all of that. And I thought, no, she got me here. She got me to where I am. I have nothing but love and adoration for what I was.
Right.
How could, if I'm to look back at me 20 years ago and go, look at you, what a mess. That means I've really lowered myself to think like that. I've actually regressed back to before she got to that state. No, you have to love. And I learned to really love my family and love when I had my own tricky situations, love my best teachers and all of that, you know. And then when I started doing this work, I realized that I could do the work with them to the best of my ability, or I could forget the work and allow the spirit to encompass this space and love them. And when I love them in such a way, it creates a resonance. And in that resonance, everything that they need to deal with comes out because they're in a loving space.
Right.
It's not about the work. It's about me being present, my soul being present with your soul and going, we're ready to do this work together. It's really special. It's really sacred. And I feel nothing but love for my clients. And then when they're gone, I forget everything. Pretty much everything. 90% of the time, I have no idea what they told me.
It's gone at that moment. Yeah, that's what we're saying, right? Connect to your clients during the session. And once they leave, you disconnect. You don't keep anything with you.
Yeah.
I want you to think of a boxer when they started learning how to box and when they were training, how many times they were hit, how painful it was to get up early in the morning, to run, the muscles hurting. They may be hating what they were doing, questioning themselves, right? But that took them to where they are now, being world champions, for example, right? And sometimes we need to see ourselves that way, that if you needed to, or if you were going to do this, you're doing this now, helping others, you needed to be trained. So now, you know, when you say I messed up, well, you know how it feels. So when people come to you, you're going to be able to guide them in a better way because you've been there. You know how it feels, right? It's like, otherwise it will be like asking a priest, right? Could you please give me advice for my marriage, you know? And when I'm having intimate relationship, I'm having this issue. Can you give me some advice? They will not know what to tell you, right? Well, how can you ask something to a priest? But in this case, people will come to you and you've been through a lot of stuff. I've been through a lot of stuff. So that helps you help that. All of these experiences are going to help us provide a better experience for our clients, help them, guide them in a better way. It's going actually makes us humble to begin with. You know, understanding that we're not special. As I was told once by another spirit guide, don't think you're special for doing what you're doing. He was saying this to a group of therapists. Don't think you're special for doing what you're doing. Just remember that you requested to do this to help you in your own evolution. So actually our clients are helping us evolve.
Oh, yeah.
And it's true. I'm not the same person I was when I started doing this back in 2013. I'm not the one saying it only. My wife says to the friends, he's changed a lot. We have evolved, you know. So this is a two-way street. We give in a session and we receive
equally.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I agree, and that's the real work, isn't it? We get to
that's
just
the real
help
work.
each other. That's
right.
The beautiful thing. And so anyone who's interested in doing your course, I just did a 6-day course with you and Alba Weinman, and I do understand that you both do things like, it's almost like there's two energies in the room and they're going to teach you something, but it's not like she's teaching her way and you're teaching your way. You're delivering concepts together and you're demonstrating and showing and allowing us to know how that worked for you and how that worked for you. And then you've got this dialogue together, and then she'll give an example and you'll give an example, and you keep it all together with the presentation, actually, and the mapping system. It's a very beautiful friendship that you have. And neither of you are like, I'm the teacher. I've never felt like a student in your class. I felt like an equal.
Right.
Some
That's the
teachers come
idea.
in. Yeah, I felt like I'm with my peers here.
Right.
And it's not about me being with you or you being with me. It's just, I just felt like I was there because you guys had so much to offer. There was no egos. There's no, don't do this and don't do that. And are you listening to me? There was no, you've both done a lot of work on yourselves to get to that level. A
So
lot of work on yourselves, because a lot of teachers, even if I just notice, you don't get triggered at all. There's no triggers in you, and only people who've done a lot of work on themselves don't get triggered. And as well as that, can somebody do this who's never done hypnosis? If somebody wants to learn how to do this, can you take students that have never done any type of hypnosis?
I would prefer that they have not done anything before.
Okay, so
So
it's better
yeah,
if they've
it-
no
it's
experience.
it's better. It's better because so just understanding introspective hypnosis, people can feel it challenging because there's a lot of techniques and information. I share a lot of information. Doesn't mean that you have to remember everything and keep everything in mind. I just don't want you to feel like, oh, I took a 6-day course and I was just given this information. I'm facing situations in my session. I don't know how to handle them, right? So, and give you everything. You're taking notes and give you your manual. You do demos. You're taking notes. You're gonna be at the level you want to be, but everything is there. I'm giving you everything I know about introspective hypnosis. So that's challenging enough, right? But then you have people that have been training, that have been practicing all the techniques, and it's difficult for them, for some of them, not for everybody, to switch from this technique to now the introspective hypnosis way. So if you don't know, you're learning this way from scratch. So the beginning, I'm going to teach you inductions. I'm going to teach you how to do an interview, how to navigate site memories, how to use different techniques, past life navigation, working with lost souls, all of that. And what happens, Biba, is that you have different type of people attending the class, right? Um, some don't know anything about hypnosis and they learn, and they're doing great. Some others have been practicing I'm not gonna say names, one specific technique for years, and it's difficult for them to deviate. And the first thing that I tell everybody is, in the next few days, the next 6 days, I'm gonna be sharing with you new concepts that you might not have heard before, and you need to empty your cup. You need to unlearn in order to learn. If you're going to try to make sense of what I'm going to explain to you based on what you already know, it's not going to make sense. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what I was told by my teacher, Jose Luis Cabuli. And it was true. I had to just unlearn what I knew, learn what he was telling me in order to make sense of these new concepts, which you don't find them just anywhere. Mm-hmm. So the ones that decide to do that, to be open, to be flexible, to unlearn in order to learn, they learn. But then you have some others that give you resistance because I've been doing this for so long. I've been told by my other teacher, such and such, about this, that this happens. And now you're telling me that you're getting something else and it can be done. And maybe even that people go into a trance without an induction, So you have this resistance, and that resistance does not allow them to absorb everything I am sharing during those days. And you have those that at the end of the course, they might say, no, I don't like taking people to, which actually happened. And after 6 days of class, asking all kind of questions, when we got together a few weeks later, somebody said, well, I'm not taking people to traumatic events. Then in my mind is I'm telling this person, you're not practicing introspective hypnosis. You just wasted 6 days of your time plus your money because you're not going to do what I shared. And we proved that it's not me, but the technique works. And we did demos, and this is what happens. And after all of that, you decide not to take people to traumatic events. That means that you are triggered. Yeah. You don't feel comfortable. That means that you need to work on yourself, right? Yeah. So you have different type of students, and we need to adapt to everybody, but I'll of course, as I said to everybody, my job is to make you feel uncomfortable for the 6 days. When you're uncomfortable, that means that you're learning something new. If you're comfortable, you're not learning anything new.
Because I remember the first day I just went, I have to park everything I know over there and listen. And there was like a couple of hours of this crossover in my brain. It was like, and then I just went, stop. Just forget about everything you know and listen to what this man is telling you, because this guy's got it sussed. I was like, yeah, he does. He has it sussed. And then when I came home and I began to integrate it into my work, it just is all perfect. It just fits in where it's meant to fit in. It's just trusting, isn't it?
Trusting.
Yeah.
And either if you don't want, either you want it or not, sooner or later, you're going to run into a client that will go into a traumatic event. Let's say that you decide to learn this technique, but you say, I'm not going to take anybody to a traumatic event. Sooner or later, that's going to happen. Or people saying, I don't want to deal with lost souls. Sooner or later, that is going to happen. You better know what to do at that moment. What are you going to tell your client? Oh, well, it happens that didn't pay attention. I didn't care about that part of the class, so we're going to stop the session now. No, right? You better know what to do. You're given all the tools during the class.
Yeah. Very good. And tell us what else you're teaching. You teach a couple of things.
Well, I'm teaching introspective hypnosis, right? And again, when I learned this from Aurelio Mejia, my teacher, right? I shadow him. It's not that he was teaching classes. He's teaching classes now, but I attended one of his classes when I went to visit him in Colombia. I noticed he does it a little bit different. So I would say introspective hypnosis, the way I teach it, is kind of my own version of introspective hypnosis. Plus, I incorporated, actually, he was not calling it introspective hypnosis or hypnosis introspective in Spanish. He was calling it something else. And then he changed the name to hypnosis introspective in Spanish, and then he changed something else. He went back to it. So he teaches us as hypnosis introspectiva, which is in Spanish. I teaching it as introspective hypnosis because most of the clients, most of you guys that want to learn this speak English, right? Introspective hypnosis. So I teach that. I started adding already a few other techniques that I got from past life therapy, these other techniques that I learned, because I consider them to be very important for sessions. But I got the blessing from my teacher Aurelio to teach this technique, and I also got the blessing from my other teacher, Jose Luis Cabuli, to teach past life therapy. It's called Terapia de Vidas Pasadas in Spanish. He doesn't teach this in English, so I'm the one that teaches it in English, past life therapy. I am also now doing with Alba workshops. We started doing workshops, not for people that want to learn hypnosis, but for people that want to work on their issue, work on their stuff. So these are for the workshops where they are taking place in the US next year and also in Europe, same place, Amaya in the Netherlands. So yeah, that is happening. And something else that is new is that I was finally able to convince Jose Luis Cabuli to do a workshop in English. He has not done this before, as long as I know, in English. In one in Europe, it's going to be in the Netherlands, Samaya, for the workshop, and one or two in the US, one in English and one in Spanish. But that's coming in 2025. We need to plan that far in advance because he's a very busy person. And the venues also, we need to work with the venues, see what days they have available. So that's coming. And I'm really excited about that because that's gonna give you, when I say you, is the one that took introspective hypnosis or past life therapy with me, to see him in action. He's a master. Wow. So anyway, I'm excited about that.
Well, I don't know. You must have convinced him that you were going to give him ice cream after his dinner or something to get him over to speak in English. He must love you dearly. For someone who's never taught in English,
Yeah. What he tells me is that he speaks English. He might not know how to say one or two words at times. I know that he took some course. He's a doctor. He studied as a plastic surgeon.
Wow.
And life took him in a way that he stopped practicing that, and then he studied hypnosis. And now he's a surgeon of the soul.
It's amazing.
yeah, and the plastic surgery he was doing was not aesthetic, was reconstructive surgery.
Wow.
What he said in the class is that he understood that he was paying for what he had done in past lives. He's in that he had killed people with sword. Now he was using a knife to reconstruct, to put people together, right? And now he's working with the soul. So he's a doctor, and when he teaches, and when I learn from him, is the structures. His class is structured. He's thinking as like a doctor. And when he's talking, when he's teaching, I use PowerPoint. He doesn't. He has everything right here. You know, amazing. Same as Aurelio. Aurelio can talk for hours and hours with no PowerPoint or nothing. But yeah, I told him how much people really want to have this knowledge in English. His books are not in English. I'm trying to convince him to translate his books. And I showed him some of the pictures that I took from online classes. Hey, this is a past life therapy class. See how many people. Or this introspective hypnosis class. You know, Alba and I attract these people to the classes in the Netherlands and in the US, and they might be interested in doing this. So to me, it's like he's doing us a favor, the way I see it. You know, so he's gonna go for that. We spoke yesterday, and I'm just trying to get the dates, but it's coming for 2025 for sure.
Well, I mean, I know that's a far, far, far away, but it will
I
show up
know.
eventually.
I know. Yes.
It'll be here soon
Time
enough.
flies. Time flies, and sometimes he has scheduled events 2 years in advance. Believe it or not, and they take place. But that's going to give us time. It's good because it's going to give us time to let everybody know about these events, and people that might be interested, they can book with a deposit, you know, and then make monthly payments until maybe a couple of months before the event. So it gives them time to come up with the money they need for that event.
And thank you for sharing that, because I would definitely love to go to that. I mean, I'm just
Awesome.
fascinated in, I've learned so much about the human, just being human, and the mind and the subconscious mind. And I was only ever interested in the soul and the spirit for like 2 decades and communicating with that. I forgot the human part. Forgot it. But now this work has pulled me into the human, and actually how the soul and the spirit want to just really help navigate the human to have a more comfortable, beautiful, peaceful experience.
Yeah.
And for anybody who wants to do some work with you, you offer sessions online and in person, right?
Correct. You offer sessions. You can go to my website. It's AntonioSangio.com, right?
Yeah, they
And
can book in and have a session.
You can book and have a session. My calendar. So I open my calendar like a month at a time, a month in advance, because I don't know what I will be doing in let's say 2 months from now, because I like the combination of workshop classes, you know, sessions, taking time for the book, interviews. So that's what I like. It's a combination. I don't see myself just doing sessions.
Yeah. Okay.
So
if someone wants to work with you, someone wants a womb regression or a life to life or a past life, just, you know where to go. I'll put all your information in the
Thank you.
And do you sell your books on your website, or is there a link for that?
Oh, they're on Amazon. So you have the paperback version and the Kindle version.
Excellent. Well
in
done.
English and Spanish.
You're so on the ball. You really are. You do things so well. And thanks so much for teaching, and because the people that I'm helping now, I'm helping them in a whole new direction. And that's because you came over to Europe to teach, you know. I'd never have gone to America for teaching. I just wouldn't take a flight that long. That's something I have to work on. I
enjoy flying. That's not an issue for me.
So until next time, my friend.
Thank you very much, Biba. It's been a pleasure and honor to be here with you, and I'm glad you're already getting those results in your sessions. And I'm sure that the other people that have learned this technique are, and I know because they have been telling me, and those that have not contacted me, I know it is happening for them as well. So thank you again for your time.
Yeah, thanks for your time too. See you soon.
See you.